the only way you're gonna be able to.
One friendly operator remaining. Op 4, last operator standing. Op 4 found a bomb. You must defend it.
It's a glass.
Seconds. Op 4.
Oh crap! What was that? What? What did I just witness?
I've been practicing smoke, I'm sorry.
That was amazing.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Lion's Den. My name is Jack, and today we're going to be talking about Rainbow Six Siege, specifically Rainbow Six Siege's Pro League, their professional league with all their competitive teams and players. And we'll be talking a little bit about the current Season 8 format, which is now 5 weeks in, as it's probably one of the most interesting pro formats I've seen in esports in a while. It's definitely much different than what we are used to in some of the major tournament structures in CSGO, and I actually personally don't have much knowledge about the league structure in a game like League of Legends, so it's hard for me to speak on that. But Rainbow Six Siege's current format is very interesting, and we're going to break it down. Firstly, let's talk a little bit about the specifics. So prior to Season 8, Rainbow Six Siege Pro League was run under a GSL format with a standard 4-team double elimination bracket, group phase, and the playoffs. However, and this is coming straight off the Ubisoft website, their justification for the format changes is that the Rainbow Six esports scene has grown tremendously, and our players, fans, and structure have matured, and we are confident that this is the perfect time to introduce a league-based system with a transition to a double round-robin format. So, what are they actually trying to do here? So, they have changed the length of the entire season from 3 months to 6 months with a break in between. And since the game operates on a 3-month DLC cycle, we're basically going to play one half of the season on one DLC and the other half on another DLC. And each team is going to play each other one time. It's going to be best of ones onlines. The top 2 teams from each region are then going to go to the playoffs and fight it out to see who's going to be the Pro League champion. This is not specifically the most interesting part for me. It's actually the individual match formats that I find to be a lot more interesting. We'll break that down here in a minute. But I do see a lot of people griping about the change and moving to only best of ones every week with no tiebreakers. And personally, I actually don't have a lot of a problem with this. The only thing that I really don't like about this change to the overall league format is that not having tiebreakers is just a little bit boring. I don't think draws in any sport are fun to watch. And when you get games that go like triple, quadruple, you know, like 5 overtimes, but games just like go the absolute distance, it's absolutely exciting. But in terms of condensing and making the watchability of Pro League a lot more accessible to people who aren't diehard fans, this is a fantastic change. Now you have Pro League games that are around 40 to 50 minutes each. You can digest them more easily, and it's going to be a lot easier to structure when you have these play days, what teams play when, and having time slots so you can fit in all your games for each region. So in terms of like making it easier to actually operate the tournament structure, the best of ones I think make a lot of sense. I just do wish, and hopefully going forward into Season 9, we do see the tiebreakers come back. The more specific and more interesting changes I think in Pro League this season are actually the match formats themselves. We've moved away from the traditional Siege style, which is you play defense one round, switch to attack, and you just keep switching sides round after round, to where now we're playing 2 5-round halves, with each team playing one side during each half. So it's a 10-round game, and obviously the possibility of tying, but now we have a much more sophisticated map veto, and this is the first season that's introducing operator pick ban. So already, the depth of what goes on in the pregame of a Pro League match has been expanded dramatically, and I really like that. I think right now, operator pick bans are incredibly interesting as they really vary at the dynamics in terms of what both defense and attack can do. And when you consider the fact that each team will get to ban one operator from each side, you end up seeing a lot of different strats, because right now a lot of mainstay operators on both attack and defense are kind of being permabanned. You're just not going to see Mira. You're probably not going to see one of your hard breachers on attack in the form of Thermite or Habana. And when you consider that those operators by themselves are not necessarily overpowered, it's more of their utility impact on the game. Take like defending, like upstairs servers on border. That is so much harder without a Mira. Not being able to reinforce those walls, have the Mira wall there so that you can bandit trick the outside walls. Mira not being available for certain sites is crippling. Downstairs vault on bank is another great example of a site that just feels so different without Mira. And then you switch over to the attacking side, and taking away one or sometimes two hard breachers can make it so much significantly harder for the attacking team to be able to get in. No Thermite means no way to get through reinforced walls. No Habana means no way to get hatches. These vary up very specifically how you approach breaching into the map and taking areas, and what you're going to do to take map control and eventually push into the site. And while I think the one problem with operator pick bans right now is it shows that there's a glaring lack of hard breachers on attack. Hopefully with future DLCs we'll see more hard breach options. Overall, I think it's a very interesting change, because now teams can't just, they can't cling to the meta, right? This is something that if you transition to a game like Overwatch, I feel like Overwatch could benefit wildly from an operator, hero pick ban in that case. Because you think about it, when there is the meta setup, teams will play that setup. And while there is some variance region to region to what teams like to play what operators on what sites, you go to previous Pro League seasons, it'd be rare to not see Mira, Smoke, sometimes Doc, no Valkyrie. This season it's Echo. Echo has been huge this season. Teams find the most powerful combos and then cling to them. You throw in a pick ban that can take away your ability to play those clutch operators, and now suddenly, if teams aren't prepared, their strategies are thrown out the window. And I think keeping teams on their feet like that creates a more interesting environment to play in. Again, I still think the only flaw with this format right now is that it shows that, one, Mira is clearly too important and too valuable. Her impact with her gadget is so severe that entire years worth of defensive strategies at this point are thrown out. So I think they need to look at in some way of finding either another operator that could do something similar to Mira, or seeing if maybe even this means that Mira's gadget is a bit too strong. I don't really think Mira is an overpowered operator. This is probably a good topic for another video, but her gadget has so much impact into how you go about defending the sites that it can be pivotal into winning you those rounds. She herself may not get the kills that are needed to win that round, but that information from that Mira wall can actually save you in many circumstances, and not having it has clearly caused a lot of Pro League teams to flounder, at least for these initial few weeks till teams adjusted to the pick bans. And then obviously, like I said, the other big issue is that games where both hard breachers are banned, when Ashe and Habana get banned out, they're just boring. Really, like, not having Thermite or Hibana on some of these bomb sites is, like, nearly impossible to attack with. So, hopefully the leaks we've been hearing about new hard breachers are true, because this shows that there is a serious lack of variety in hard breach operators, and Pro League can use the pick ban to abuse that. Other things going on within the match-specific format is that now, after map vetoes, whenever you play a map, let's say EG picks Border as their map during 1 week. EG plays Border that week, win or lose, whatever. Come next week, the next time Evil Geniuses plays, they no longer can select Border. Once you play it 1 week, it's on cooldown. You can't touch it till another week has elapsed. This is honestly one of the coolest changes I have seen to an esport in a long time, because it forces teams to know and be able to play the entire map pool. Because at some point, you're gonna be forced to have like your permaban up for grabs, because you're not gonna be able to leave it unbanned. You're gonna have to ban something else that might be more pivotal against this opponent. You're gonna have to be able to dance around the whole map pool, because you're not always gonna have your favorite maps to rely on. If this wasn't in the game, I'm sure we would be seeing tons of best of ones where it's just border, coastline, border, coastline, border, coastline, occasionally clubhouse. Teams really like those two maps, and forcing them to at least, you know, half the time during the season have to play other maps is very interesting. I think it's great for throwing teams that have narrow map pools off kilter and forcing them to learn to have more variability on more maps. I think it's a fantastic change overall. The last major change to the match format that we're going to talk about here is once again to do with the pick ban phase, and it's called the 6th pick. And what I like about this is that now, once you're done selecting and banning and then choosing your team operators, both teams see what operators you've picked. You get to see each other's lineups, right? And during this phase, it's called the 6th pick phase, you're able to, without the enemy knowing, select a different operator one time. So here's an example. I'm just using EG again because it's just the first thing that comes to mind. Let's say EG picks a Montaigne, but they don't want to take a Montaigne in. They'll use their 6th pick to ghost that Montaigne over something that's going to be more useful, say a Twitch or an IQ or whatever. They're going to use that opportunity to fake out the defense. The defense is going to assume there's a Montaigne. They might choose extra nitro cells, or they might prioritize smoke or legion, some kind of shield denier, and then they're going to come in instead with that Montaigne with maybe a Twitch and take out that extra utility. There's a lot of interesting interplay here with the 6th pick, because you could take someone who, say, someone's like well known for playing Glass or playing Twitch or playing a certain operator. You can now have them fake out onto their comfort pick, the operator they are known for playing, 6th pick to something else, and now once again, until the enemy has either drowned out or spotted you, depending on attack or defense, you've added one more layer of trying to fake them out. And that is awesome. I really like how this has played out so far. I think we've seen some really interesting 6th picks. And overall, because of the operator pick ban, we are seeing like the broadest amount of operators being used, I think, in a long time in Siege. It's not just like the standard setups where either you would see teams, they would always bring Hibana, IQ, Twitch, you know, sometimes Sledge or Soft Breacher like Buck, and then, you know, depending on the team, maybe a shield operator for one of those 2 picks. You know, things were pretty standardized at the top level where you would usually see similar team comps. But now, with all of these changes, you've seen a lot of variety and a lot of teams not being able to handle certain operators that aren't always been meta, suddenly being thrust into the game. It's really interesting. I think overall, we're going to look back at the start of Season 9 on this big Season 8 change and say that Pro League has evolved into something much more interesting. And I'm curious to see how these map vetoes, as well as the operator pick bans, as well as tiebreakers, play out in the best of 3 playoffs. Because they're going to be allowing the tiebreakers in the best of 3s, which makes total sense. You know, once you get to playoffs, that's serious shit. You don't want ties. So, I'm interested to see how this year's, or at least this first Pro League, plays out underneath this new double round robin format. It's very interesting. It has piqued my interest heavily, as you can tell. I'm a big fan of watching Counter-Strike. I love watching competitive Counter-Strike. And Counter-Strike is a game that was rarely, at least in the last 5 years, experimented with many varied formats. we've seen like the evolution of the Swiss system in the last few years, which has been, you know, very different and very interesting to watch. But we've never seen something like as dramatically different one season to another as what has just happened in the Rainbow Six Pro League. I highly recommend you check it out. Rainbow Six has a fantastic esports channel which has all of the VODs from every single week. You can go check it out. You can even check out previous finals if you want. And I highly recommend it. We've talked about this many times on the channel, but Rainbow Six is a game that is just doing very well right now. The game is finally getting to a better place. Unfortunately, a lot of recent news has been quite negative with the unfortunate uptick in hacking and issues since the latest DLC launched, which are a problem. But now that Ubisoft has addressed these issues, there appear to be concrete solutions coming through. I'm more excited than ever to be able to play Siege again. And I highly recommend you guys check it out. I highly recommend you check out Pro League and keep an eye out on the channel as I'm going to be doing more videos about Siege pretty soon. Other than that, guys, make sure you check the description, follow us on Twitter, keep up to date with what's going on. We are finally streaming consistently again. Go over to twitch.tv/Nerdsmerized to catch me or whoever streaming as often as possible. Now I got my brand new PC up and running. I was talking about this in my last video. So excited to be able to actually cover a lot more varied content now. Other than that, guys, my name is Jack. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video.